Hey folks, welcome back to the Bulletproof Garage. I am still Scott Walters and I'm your host, and welcome to episode 2 of our 1987 Ford F350 Diesel Dually Rescue. Now to recap episode 1, it's pretty simple. We got the engine out and it sucks. Yeah, it's a hot mess. I mean, we got the cylinder heads off and what did we find? Water and rust. And the engine was seized and we weren't able to get it unseized. So at this point we need to go ahead and finish disassembling the short block and see if it can be saved. Now from there, I think we've got another hot mess for you. Matter of fact, I know we do. And so, yeah, there's another surprise and another gaping hole in the budget. It's awesome. All right, folks, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride as I hemorrhage cash here in the Bulletproof Garage. Okay, time to get the oil pan off. It actually doesn't look too bad under here. Certainly looks a lot better from down below than it did from up above. Hey folks, one thing I'm just now noticing, the connecting rods have been stamped. So if you see this guy here, for example, that's YY as in Yankee Yankee. Now, what I've done to help ensure we get the connecting rods caps oriented correctly when the engine's reassembled is I've just used a paint marker and put an arrow towards the front of the engine. But I'm not sure if the stampings are actually factory or if that indicates that the engine has been rebuilt. I'll have to do a little bit of research, but if you know, go ahead and post a comment below. Okay folks, so we're at it again with the 6.9. It is still stuck. It's been soaking for about a week. Actually, this one cylinder, the number 7, has been soaking for about a week in Marvel Mystery Oil with a shot of Croil, but it doesn't look like any has seeped down past the piston. So I'm going to give it one more shot and then I'm going to move on, because at this point it'd be fairly painful to get that piston out. We'd have to chisel it out, we'd have to drill, cut, beat, just get kind of kinetic with it, and I'm not really up for that right now, all right? But let's give it one more try with fire and see if we can get it unstuck, okay? Okay, I've already heated up this side of the piston right here and the cylinder, so I've swapped over and I'm going to do the other side, so cross your fingers. All right, I've been going at it for about 2 minutes here and I'm running low on propane, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, it looks like it's moving. Oh, it is moving. You gotta be kidding me. All right, let's try to turn it the other way. So we're bringing it down and so, oh man, that's it. What was that? Oh, bearing shell. It's free, all right, or free enough to where I think I can get it moving. Yep, there it goes. Yep, and she's moving. Oh wait, that's just loosening. All right. Well, I think we can work with that. If I've got to take some sandpaper to that cylinder, clean up some stuff, that's fine. I mean, it's probably going to need a sleeve anyway. If not, it's going to need to be bored 30. So a little sandpaper isn't going to hurt anything. All right, man, I'm pumped. I was not looking forward to having to destroy that piston to get it out of the cylinder. Awesome. All right, folks, I'm making progress. I've got 2 left to go. One of them's number 7, and the other one is, let's see, it's going to be number 2. So this guy right here. So the process is fairly simple, right? First, the rod cap has to come off. And after that comes off, you need to tap the piston down just a little bit so the rod cap will separate. So you can tap on the rod bolts or the piston. I'm just going to tap on the piston a little bit here. All right. Then the cap comes off. All right. And like I said earlier, these are already marked with letters, but I'm going to follow up with an engraver and engrave them with the correct number of the cylinder. At that point, you go ahead and tap the piston out of the block from the bottom to the top, hopefully catching it before it hits the concrete. All right, one more to go. All right, well, there she is. And as you can see, it's pretty nasty. Yeah, you can see the rings are just stuck to the piston there. All right. Hey folks, all the pistons and rods are now out of the engine, but one thing that I wanted to mention that's critically important is you have to keep your pistons and your rods and your rod caps together. Now the pistons, if you're not going to reuse them, it's really no big deal. But as you can see, the white marker paint that I was using here is already worn off. So what I've done is I have used this micro engraver. Hey, can y'all hold it down, please? I'm filming here. Thank you. I've used this micro engraver to engrave the piston number 2 in the top of the piston. All right, what I've also done is I've engraved it on the rod and the rod cap so they don't get mixed up. Again, these are not mix and match, all right? So this rod has been riding on a particular rod journal on the crank for a few 100,000 miles, and it's been wearing in a particular manner. If you mix and match the rods with other rod caps or put it on another crank journal, you're likely to spin a bearing, especially if you haven't resized the rod or ground the crank, all right? Hey folks, one thing we have not solved yet, all right, the big mystery, why was the truck pulled off the road, parked, and just left to rot in a field, all right? So, hey, I know what you're thinking. It was the freeze plugs. Yeah, I thought so, but now I have another theory. All right, so you're gonna have to follow me under the truck and I'll show you something that you may find to be kind of interesting. I found it to be interesting and exceptionally painful too, so let's check it out. Okay folks, let me orient you to what we've got going on here. I am underneath the truck, and what you see here, that's the drive shaft, and here is the rear of the transmission, the ZF-5, and right under it is a transmission cross member. And right here, that is where the transmission is supposed to mount to the cross member. That is a completely Bluetooth mount. You can see where it busted. You can see it's busted here and it's busted there. And that's not unheard of on these trucks. But I can tell you that the truck was certainly not drivable at that point. With the transmission just flopping in the breeze like that, it's going to cause a hellacious amount of clanging, banging, and vibration if you ever managed to get it up to speed. So the truck was definitely not drivable. And that, in my opinion, is what took the truck off the road. So I'm going to chalk this up as mystery solved. Hey folks, recapping episode 2. Okay, the engine's out, it's apart, and it needs a bunch of work, all right? This thing really needs to go to the machine shop to get the full Monty. And it needs to be bored out and potentially one sleeve installed. And we're looking at easily over $1,000 for new pistons and all the machine work that it needs. At this point, I'm wondering whether we should stick with this engine or should we source something that might be ready to go or close to ready to go, all right? So a used IDI engine that was running when pulled is going to run you about $500 to $1,000. So it may be a little bit of a roll of the dice, but that is a viable option. I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm looking at something right now in the garage that is indeed a viable option that I sourced for this. It was a deal that was too hard to pass up, and it's significantly better than what we've got here. What is it? You got to watch episode 3 to figure that out, okay? Now, shifting gears, literally and figuratively. Let's talk about the drivetrain on the old F350. We understand that the transmission needs a tail housing. That's not something you're going to replace with the transmission in the truck, so it's got to come out. And here's where the fun starts, all right? The might as wells. Well, one of the might as wells is, well, we might as well convert it to 4-wheel drive. We got to pull the transmission out anyway. Okay, so we would need to source a ZF-5 transmission set up for 4-wheel drive, so with a transfer case attached to it, okay? I think that's the Borg Warner 1356 that they would come with. And the front suspension would have to come out and be replaced with a front differential. The F250 in the 80s and 90s came with an independent front suspension. I think it was based on the Dana 50, all right? But the F350 came with a Dana 60 up front, a solid axle. So, question for the viewers out there, 1, should we convert it to 4-wheel drive? And 2, if we do, what front differential should we use? All right, folks? Thanks in advance to everybody who's taken the time to answer the questions that I posed. I really appreciate the help. And we'll see you next time on the Bulletproof Garage.